Welcome back, folks, to the Mailright podcast. It's episode 225. Today we are meeting with Ray Petkevis, who is the #1 realtor in Delaware. And also, just for the spirit of transparency, he is a client of Inbound REM, and he's a friend as well. But over the years that Ray and I have been talking, Ray has been responsible for some of my favorite marketing tool recommendations. Bold Leads was something that he turned me on to, and I ended up doing not only a deep review of the platform, but I got in touch with the owners, and they actually did a podcast, like a video interview with me, and it turned into one of my best blog posts ever. All of that was fueled by Ray Petkevis, who's with us today. So Ray, what we're going to focus the show on today, after you introduce yourself, I will hand it over to you, but we're going to ask you to share some of the secrets, some of the tools, some of the real estate marketing tools that you use to fuel your phenomenal growth. So with no further ado, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
My name is Ray Petkevis, and
Petkevis.
I'm out. Petkevis. I love to beat Robert up on that. And I do want to make a correction because we are a stickler for details. I'm not the #1 real estate agent in Delaware. I'm the #1 agent with Keller Williams in Delaware. I just want to make sure that folks who have done that job get that credit. Keller Williams is a great big company. Happy to be #1 with them, but there are a couple folks that I'm still chasing down personally.
Okay.
So I'm out here in Delaware. I'm really a 4th-year real estate agent. We just kind of did some numbers, to kind of give you perspective on that. We've sold about 518 homes in the last couple of years since we started this, and our average sales price out here, I'm not sure if that's interesting or not, but we're $225,000. Is our average sales price, and we're looking between $35 and $40 million a year is kind of a consistent year for us at this point.
Excellent.
So volume-wise, 150 to 190 homes a year is kind of that range. Because again, I'm a big fan of transparency. I don't want to misrepresent numbers in any way or anything like that. It's not like we're selling 1,000 homes a year. Our goal is to do more always.
Sure.
But, that's who we are. I've got a very good team. It's a small team. It's a couple admin, and it's about 5 or 6 agents depending on where we are and who's transitioning to what role. But that's what our team looks like.
All right. So in
you can introduce me.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. And then of course my fabulous co-host, who usually does these introductions, and I'm very bad at them, as everybody can now tell, but is Jonathan. He's the founder of Mailright, which is an all-in-one marketing system for real estate agents and brokers. And he's been working on it like literally tirelessly for the last number of years. It's pretty phenomenal, and if you get the opportunity, you should look him up and check him out. How about that? Did I make up for it? Turn it over to you, Jonathan.
You certainly did a great job, Robert. And we're proactively looking for agents to join the Mailright team. And we've been doing a load of new testing for our new campaigns for 2020. And they seem to be getting some great results. And we're looking, like I say, for some agents that are really up for getting a better 2020 than 2019 and working with us.
Beautiful. So Ray, you've been really great about, and a lot of my learning, a lot of what I do for my business comes from not Ray and clients like him. And so Ray, would you mind sharing, give us an overview of because this show is about real estate marketing, and I'm super excited to have Ray on because he is transparent and he talks numbers with me all the time, which informs my opinion about the real estate marketing industry as a whole. So you're doing a lot of marketing right now. Would you mind sharing who you're doing it with, how much you're spending, and then maybe breaking it down and telling us what your favorite tools are and why?
Yeah, certainly. So, as you guys were talking there, it's not just marketing, it's shameless marketing. So as you're talking there, I just grabbed a t-shirt off the front of because I realized that I did not have a Delaware Realty Group shirt on. And I looked over, I'm like, oh, there's one. I give T-shirts out to everybody. I figure, for the cost of, $8 for a Hanes beefy tee, and the cost of having it printed, I might as well at least throw it in there. I'm not going to keep this on for the whole show. It looks ridiculous, but there's our logo. And for me, this whole thing is about having fun. So that logo, when I had it done, I actually stole the color scheme off of a 57 Cadillac by Ritz that I saw online. And so when they were talking about color scheme, I'm like, no, this is the red. I want this 57 Cadillac red, with the chrome, and I want the Monopoly Hotel, but we're going to use the Monopoly house shape because the hotel is the superior piece of real estate in Monopoly, but I sell homes, not hotels. So give me the house shape with the hotel color, the 57 Cadillac, color scheme. And like, that's what we're going to market with. I'm a big fan of cars. I actually own a 57 in my real estate as far as open houses are concerned. And for me, real estate is not really a career or a job. It's a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle that I love. And that's what makes this whole thing fun for me. And that's what I make sure that the agents that are on my team understand is, like, you want a job, go get one somewhere else. I'm not offering careers. I'm not offering, really anything other than a lifestyle to figure out what it is that you want. And then we're going to backfill that with a financial opportunity that comes from real estate. Shape this into whatever you want it to be, and it'll be exactly what you design. But you got to be committed to that plan. So, Robert, that's a lot of the conversations that you and I have had is, what do you want? How much does it cost to get what you want? And what do you have to do to make that happen? And so, to answer your question, yeah, I spend a lot of money. Not all of it hits the mark. We're doing a lot of stuff online. I spend a lot of money on places that, quite frankly, I don't think that I should, but being a new agent, I was in a state, Delaware, where I'm not from. And so it's not like I went to high school with a bunch of people here, or I was involved in a lot of organizations. So, really my first 2 or even 3 years worth of business, I bought it off online leads, and I just figured out a way to do a decent job converting online leads. And then the second job was, how do I increase that conversion rate? And now we're in a spot after being in this, now that we've sold 518 homes in the last few years. Now the question is, let's get referrals from the folks that we've done a really good job helping them buy or sell a home. But in that beginning couple of years, it's like, who do you know? I didn't know anybody. And so the best way for me to get to know somebody was buying leads, and then introducing myself, and simultaneously, introducing and sharing my value proposition, because I'm a great real estate agent. I'm just not from here. And so a lot of that stuff of, like, how long have you lived here and all that stuff, I wanted to get past that to, I have a different value proposition, which is, I'm going to sell your home very quickly for the most amount of money we can with the least amount of aggravation. That's the value proposition that I bring to my listing clients. And then to our buyer clients, it's a different value proposition. I'm a fierce negotiator, and I'm going to do the heavy lifting for you. So that's really what I brought to market, buying internet leads. And now in that search of how do I increase my conversion, purchasing leads off a line, that's where really you and I came in. I was online going, is there a better way than just straight up buying leads? Sure. And that's where I met Robert. I saw one of his videos where he was doing a good job of both a positive and negative, comparison analysis of one of the vendors that I was considering doing business with, which ultimately led me to give him a call to say, you know what, you did a fair job. You weighed in the high points, you weighed in the low points. And I want to talk to you because you seem to have something to offer yourself.
And of the vendors that I recollect that you've used so far have been Bold Leads, Zillow, TrulyARealtor.com, I think. Is there any lessons that you'd share about using those services for other aggressive agents or brokers?
Any lessons that I'd share as far as
like we won't mention exact numbers, but you have a healthy budget. You've spent a lot of it with those vendors. Is there some lessons that you've learned in that process, like buying leads from these companies? Is there anything that you'd pass along to other people?
Yeah, I would say you really need to start with a geographic center point where you know something about the market. And so I still hold true to that to this day, in that I spend more money in the zip code that I live in than I do in any other zip code, or even, my top 2, 3, or 4 zip codes combined. I still don't spend as much money in those zip codes as I do the zip code that I live in. And there's a reason for that. Is, I've lived in this area. I'm not new to Delaware. It's just that I wasn't born and raised here. So I've lived in this zip code in Delaware for longer than I've done business. So when someone says to me, "Hey, what are the schools like here?" I can not only tell you what the schools are like, but I can tell you about my experience as a father with my kids in the school. When that's a big thing that Robert and I have worked on, is the schools, and it's a big reason that people move to the zip code that I live in. So I make sure that I know a lot about that, because if that's the primary driving point for folks to move into the zip code where I live, that better be something that I'm an expert on. And then when it comes to where's the nearest restaurant? What do you guys do for fun? Do you play golf? Well, I'm not really a golfer, but I can tell you all about the 3 golf courses that are in my town. I have played each of those courses, even though I'm not a golfer, so that when I do get a golfer who's asking me about, what's it like to relocate into this town, where can I play golf? It's not like, oh yeah, there's a golf course here, there's a golf course there. It's, I've played each of these courses. This is the difference experience-wise between, Frog Hollow versus Odessa National versus Back Creek. And I can tell you what that experience is like. So
right.
My best advice would be, if you're going to go into buying leads, make sure your first purchase is the area that you know the best. And then as you expand out, and we're well into the 500 leads a month territory now.
Okay.
With leads bought online, that's way more than I can personally handle. So the second thing that I try to do, and we do it, is if I'm going to buy leads in a market where I don't live and I'm not the expert, hire an agent who lives in that market as you grow your team, and point those leads at that agent, so that your incoming customer gets the same experience as far as what's the best restaurant, where do you shop, where's the nearest hospital. You want to make sure that you are a local expert in the marketplace. And I personally try not to do business in zip codes where I'm not a local market expert.
I got you. So John, we've monopolized the conversation so far, and I appreciate you giving us a little bit of momentum into the show. But now it is absolutely positively your turn to have a conversation with Ray.
I just got a question before we go for our break. Ray, I think your story that you used online leads to really establish your business is fantastic. But I have a lot of discussion with agents about the difference between a personal referral and what a online lead is. And I get a lot of agents that try and think that online lead should be of the same quality as a personal referral. Can you put them right and give some idea to our listeners and viewers what an online lead is?
Absolutely. An online lead is really the most difficult customer to deal with in the first, I would say, 3 to 5 days. A personal referral is someone who will wait for me. When I say, hey, that's great, I'm glad, Bob introduced us, I can meet with you on Thursday. The nice thing is that person will probably wait till Thursday. When I get someone as an online lead, I have 2 minutes to call them. And if I don't call them in 2 minutes, the chances are someone else from another brokerage is calling them, because the leads that I purchased, they're not exclusive to me. It's kind of a shotgun method where, 3 to 5 agents might be getting that same lead simultaneously. So I got to be first to get them on the phone. And then I have to be engaging enough to be the person that they're going to call back when they're still going to get those other 3 to 5 calls, because chances are they didn't inquire about just one home. So even if I have a lead that comes in and it's shared with only, say, 2 agents, they probably put an inquiry on 3 to 5 houses. So they're going to be bombarded with real estate agents calling them. So the first thing you got to do, you got to be transparent about the fact that you're going to be bombarded with people calling you. And, if I do a good enough job sharing with you why you should work with me, you need to be comfortable telling these other folks that, I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer your call or return your call.
Well,
whereas if I deal with a personal referral, I've already got a leg up on that relationship.
Well, I think what you're talking about is when you're using something like Zillow, when you're using something like bold leads, it's a slightly different scenario, but it's still not the same as a personal referral. Would you agree with that? And what is the difference if you're using something like bold leads compared to a personal referral?
Well, the first thing is bold leads is a listing lead, not a buyer lead. So buyer leads are as transient as it comes. The listing lead, I know where they live because they put their address in there. The buyer lead, I don't know their address. I've got an email and a phone number, and so I've got a ghost if they don't want to talk to me. The listing lead, I can always go knock on the door and I can drop off a package and say, hey, I got your inquiry online. I wasn't able to reach you on the phone, but I went and I printed this 35-page market analysis for you here. I wanted to stop by. I live in town. I wanted to drop this off in person, introduce myself. Here's my card. Review this. Give me a call if you're interested in knowing more about what I took the time to put together for you. So that's even still an online listing lead is going to be better than an online buyer lead, but nowhere near as good as a personal referral, because again, there's no relationship there. So if I had to create a hierarchy of leads, it's the online buyer lead is the hardest one to deal with. The online listing lead is better, but certainly the handoff of the person-to-person referral, because half the time I get introduced to somebody, I do monthly parties at my house. And so the listing clients, they actually bring their friends to my home and say, hey, Ray's throwing a party this month. I call it Third Hump Day. So the third Wednesday of every month, I have a party at my home. I hire a bartender, and it's a nice party. But my clients, and I invite my clients, and they're able to invite bring your kids. I have a babysitter. I've got a swing set and a nice big backyard and all that stuff. So that's really an opportunity for me to generate person-to-person referrals, because I'm pretty clear about hey, I do this party once a month, so that not only can I say thank you for the business that we've done together, but it's an opportunity for you to introduce me to somebody that might also appreciate the service that I provided to you. So I've got an open door policy, not only in my office, but also, in my home.
Oh, that's great. We're going to go for our break. We're coming back, and Robert can ask some more questions when we come back, folks. We'll be back in a few moments. We're coming back. We've had a great conversation already with Ray. Back over to you, Robert.
Okay, Ray. So now's the time for the pedal to hit the metal. So you've talked to us a little bit about, I happen to know that you are an extremely charismatic marketer, and you've been talking a lot about these external efforts that you do. And I'm not even gonna, if we have time for our bonus content, if we decide to do some, we're going to talk about something extraordinary that Ray did over the holidays that I was physically present for. But barring that, I'd like to focus the show a little bit more on the tools that you use, because you've been talking a lot about them, but let's talk about what you're using right now, because I know you've moved into using a couple of new things. I would also, if we have time, if you have any thoughts about Command, and you don't have to, I know it's still something that you and your team are getting used to and that you're not dealing with it directly, but if you have 1,000-foot high opinion, I would love for my listeners, our listeners, to hear what that opinion is, because there's 180,000 Keller Williams agents and market leaders in these states, and I have no doubt that some of them are listening to the show today.
Right.
So go ahead and what are your favorite tools? What are your favorite new tools?
Well, my system's actually pretty straightforward, and it's almost like dominoes. It's a series of things that work together. So I've got a lot of internet leads that come in. Some are from the website that Robert has helped me build. Some are from Realtor.com. Some are from Zillow. Some are from Bold Leads. So when they come in, we've mapped those leads. And when I say map, I'm talking field map. First name, last name. Website, or not website, email address, phone number, all that stuff. They get imported into something called 5 Street. 5 Street is, for lack of a better term, it's like a jump ball. And so 5 Street will then take any buyer lead. I don't do it with Bold Leads, because they actually come to me directly to my cell phone. So they're not coming in there, because I do all the listings, on my team. But any buyer lead that comes in is mapped out, and it fires out through 5 Street as a lead opportunity, and it gets fired out to every single one of my agents. If you're in a room with my agents when a lead comes in, everybody's cell phone goes off at the same time, and it's kind of fun to watch them. They're reaching for the phone. A couple of them have gone to the extra step to buy an Apple Watch, so that they don't have to reach into their pocket to hit the phone. They can actually click on the Apple Watch. They accept the lead. And then once they get the lead, what they get is the contact information. The lead comes in to everybody, but the contact information comes in the person that claims it. Now, I've already got the lead. It's in my email, but whoever one of my agents claims it first, they get the full contact information, and then they go ahead and give them a call right there on the spot. And we've got a series of questions that, we ask them, and pre-qualifying questions that don't seem like pre-qualifying questions, but they are. It seems like a conversation. So that we understand what it is that this person's looking for and how to help them. So that's really the second, if you would, so wherever the lead is generated is our first step. The second step is the 5-street distribution system. The third step is our agent claiming the lead and actually having the contact information revealed to them. The fourth step is my own secret sauce, if you would. And that's something I'm not going to share with you on this call, because I've got a conversation that gets a series of questions answered without asking the questions that I want the answers to. It's a conversation that we have so that I understand how we can help those folks. And then from there, it goes to our lender. And we're never asking somebody to get pre-qualified. We're asking them if they're interested in taking advantage of, free money that's out there through the state of Delaware, or, just different. There's a financial incentive, but we're never asking to get pre-qualified. What we're asking them is, are you interested in knowing more about a financial incentive that's going to work for you to buy a home? Then the lender gets them. They do the pre-qualification there. They have their own online portal where they get them in. I do a joint text message, which for me is a key piece of this. It's not a transfer. It's a joint text message. All my communications are joint text messages. That way I know that the communication has happened, and I know that the handoff was completed. Then
between you and the lender, or you and somebody on your team?
Me, the lender, everybody. So
okay.
if it's me handing a prospective buyer off to a teammate, it goes from me to the teammate, the lender, and the client all at once. So now I can watch who's dialed in, who's the first person that made contact after, because I set the expectation. And if it's Robert, if it's me and you, I say, Robert, I'm going to do a joint text message with Tim, who's the agent who lives in the area that you're requesting information about, and Danielle, who's our lender. And so look for that text message here in the next 3 minutes. If you don't get that text, something went wrong, call me back. And then you get that text message. And then I sit there and I watch who responds back first. Does Tim respond back as the agent? Does Danielle respond back as the lender? Or does the client respond back saying, hey guys, I'm here. It's nice to meet all of you. And there's almost a psychology to that to see who responds back first. If the prospective buyer is the first person to respond, I'm like, man, we've got somebody that's interested here. They're highly engaged in whatever conversation it is that I just had with them. And if they're the first person to respond, and I don't have one of my two partners, whether it's my lender or my agent, responding back immediately, then I'm going to be on the phone with them saying, please respond to this text. Someone is waiting for you right now. And then really that goes to our first appointment, because after that text message, that's going to determine, what that first appointment looks like. Because we find out if their credit score is 100 points below what we need it to be in order to be able to, initiate an offer, then that's not somebody that I want my agents driving around town. And I think that's just really common sense. But the problem with that is, in the world of the internet, everybody thinks they have great credit, and we don't know what their credit is until we actually know. And I don't want my agents wasting their time, their gas, meeting somebody out at a home that's 100 points below, the minimum threshold for being able to get approved. And
right.
So that's our process. And I would say that's where we win. The majority of the time is you get there first, you get there fast, and then you come with a value proposition that's comfortable and informative, and that handoff has to be one that does not feel like a handoff, but it feels like more an introduction to a conversation with somebody else that's going to help them, achieve their goals.
That's awesome. I love that. I loved every single word of that. I found it helpful. I hope our listeners are picking up something too, because I know how fast and how consistent your growth has been, and how much you're moving in the direction of both dominating your marketplace. You're already doing something that Jonathan and I have talked with other guests about many times, which is kind of becoming the mayor of a town, which is basically a local or community expert. Now, I've been with you. I've actually flown out there and hung out with you, and you go to all the diners and you talk to all the people and you do all the things. The only thing for our audience that you and I have been working on, and again, it's just transparency, my thing has been getting ready to film more of that, and for us to get it online, to get it actually digitized. He has actually done, to my frustration, I've discovered that he has tens of thousands of photos, but I have not seen the vast majority of them. And so they're not of use to us until we can actually get them and then apply them to his website and his digital marketing. However, in terms of activity and action, Ray has been doing the things that we've been talking about. So Jonathan, do you have another question for Ray?
Yeah, one question, and then we'll wrap up the podcast, the show, and hopefully Ray can stay on for 10 minutes, which can be bonus content. So Ray, in 2020, what's your plans around video, and how important do you think video is going to be for your marketing in 2020?
Video is the core of it. And I think Robert would get back on a plane, fly across the country, and punch me in the face if I said it was anything other than that, considering the amount of time that he's on this. We've done a lot of video. I'm still uploading stuff to YouTube. I'm taking videos every day. I've tuned into Gary Vee a lot. I'm a big fan of his. I like the way that he talks in his pod. I feel like he's talking to me. He uses the language that I like to speak in. I get it. And one of the things he says is, if you are right now not producing video at scale, then you're missing the boat. He said, because basically you've got the opportunity to broadcast on so many different social media platforms for pennies on the dollar compared to what it's going to be later on. Once the big companies realize how targeted this audience can be with so few dollars spent. And he said, if you're not in the business of taking advantage of that today, then you might as well just go away. So video is it. And the other thing is this, I make a point that when I'm on video, and today's kind of like a bad example. I didn't have my Delaware Realty Group shirt on, but I had one here. I made a joke of not actually, I have one on underneath of this, but like, you got to be branded. Actually, no, I'm not. That's a Game of Thrones shirt. That's it. So, but you've got to be your brand at all times. You've got to be your brand at all times. I am the face of my brand, and the face of my brand is got to be on camera, and you've got to be on camera in a comfortable manner to where you like to talk about what it is you want to talk about. I don't care what it is you want to talk about. Just be in love with that. Smile a lot. I made a point. I probably look like an idiot to myself sitting here smiling, but I really love what I do. And if you're going to be on camera, like, be happy to be on camera. Be well-spoken, smile a lot, know what you're talking about. Don't be afraid to hijack. I probably had 70% of the talking role on this podcast. Don't be afraid to hijack somebody else's show. It's my opportunity to be the guest. Get on video, hijack their show, get your message across, smile a lot when you do it, and then publish the hell out of it, because that's the business we're in. And I'm doing that here, and other agents in my market either don't get on video, or when they do, they just they don't come across the way that probably Robert would like them to. I'm gonna use Robert as the scapegoat for that.
I totally understand. It's just an informal but still professional way of coming across, isn't it, Ray? So we're going to wrap up the podcast part of the show, folks, and then we're going to go into bonus content, which you'll be able to see on the MailRight website with a full transcription of the show. So, Ray, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and your company?
To text me. That's probably the worst thing about my company right now is I am not that reachable. I get hundreds of emails per day. It's kind of an abyss. And I tell my clients, you want me? Text me. My text number is 302-685-4042. If you want to talk to me, shoot me a text message. I'll call you back. It might not be, within the hour, especially considering whatever it's about, but I'll call you back. At minimum, I'll text you back, and then we can talk. But, email's terrible. I got to get better with, a system with that. That's really where I'm falling short as a real estate agent, is that back-end system for the responses. I don't have a personal assistant. I should. Robert told me that's the next money that I need to spend, not even a recommendation to use. That's what you have to do next, is you need a personal assistant. But for me, there's a disconnect there, is that I want to talk to everybody. The problem is right now with what we've done, I just don't have the hours in the day to do it.
Yeah, totally understandable. And Robert, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and what you're up to?
Actually 2020 is a big year in terms of marketing, and I'm doing a lot of new stuff. I've got some education stuff that I'm gonna be doing on the website that's going to be free. Later in the year, I'm going to introduce some stuff that you're paying for. You can find out all about that at inboundrem.com. You've got a few more weeks with my old website up, and then my new one will be up, and we're off to the races. So, John, how can people get in touch with you?
It's really very simple, folks. You can either email me at jonathan@mail-right.com, and I'll get back to you pretty quick. Or you can go on the MailRight website, and you can get a free demo of all the amazing product and services that is part of the MailRight system. And I do the demo with you, and that's totally free. We'll be back next week with another great guest, hopefully, or an internal discussion between me and my great co-host, Robert, and also or probably maybe a great guest like Ray. We'll be back next week, folks. See you soon. Bye. Yeah. So on to bonus content. I just got a quick question and then throw it over to Robert. Is how important do you see the website? Obviously, you've spent a lot of time and energy with Robert with your website, but I also interview a lot of agents that kind of dismiss the importance of a website, and I think it's crazy. I think it's just totally they're kind of semi-bonkers, but how do you see the website and its importance for your business, Ray?
Well, it's incredibly important, or I wouldn't have met Robert. I wouldn't have spent the time and quite frankly, the money that I'm spending with him if I didn't think it was important. Where I think it's really important is I'm in real estate, and the thing that I tell everybody is don't rent. Buy, own, don't rent. And the thing that I see folks doing online is they're renting their websites, and there's a lot of companies out there that for, $89 a month, $199 a month. Yeah, I mean, you can go on to, $3,000 a month for these websites, but it's not really yours. You believe in owning real estate, but you don't own your website. Like, I want to thump them on the head and go, what part of this digital thing do you not understand? So the biggest challenge there is if you're going to own your website, you're going to have to feed it. You're going to have to optimize it. And that's where Robert, for me, comes in is I've made the investment in my .com, and, he's really at the helm of that. And I write the checks, and then I do my best to do what he tells me to do. And it's not everything he tells me to do. And we'd be a lot further along if I did more of that, and I did it on time. And so am I a good client? I'm probably a better friend at this point than I'm a client. And as our friendship grows, I probably get to be a better client because I'm more apt to not let my friends down than I am to, a vendor. I'm like, I don't care, man. I'm paying you. I'll do what I want when I'm doing it because I'm writing you the check. My friends, I'll do things for free that I would never do for somebody that, like, when I'm paying the checks. But so when it comes to the website, it's incredibly important. I'm making it a bigger part of my focus in 2020. And, that's the reason I'm on this podcast is because I value the importance of the website over buying leads.
So what do you think, what was the key moment when you started getting it, that it was really important? Well, why do you think so many agents struggle to understand that having a really good website in 2020 is going to be really important? Why do they struggle so much, Ray?
Because the companies that are renting websites, and I'm going to say it again, you're renting your website if you're paying somebody a monthly fee, and you're an idiot if you're renting your website. You got to own your real estate, your digital real estate. The moment that it came in clarity for me is when I looked at my year-end, budget, and I saw that I paid more for real estate leads than I did buying 3 investment properties cash. And I was like, wait a minute, that money is gone. And had I had that money and invested that in, I have a portfolio of rental properties. With the money that I spent just to Realtor.com alone, I could have paid cash for 3 investment properties that would have paid me money for the rest of my life that my kids would inherit, and pay money for them the rest of their life and my grandkids, and you get the point, so on and so on. For what I spent with Realtor.com in 1 year, I could have had generational money going to my family. And that for me was an eye opener.
Oh, that's great. Over to you, Robert.
So, thank you, John and Ray, for all that amazing stuff. So, actually, I want to end the show on a strange note, a personal note, a fun note that doesn't really have it. It is a marketing story, but it's a fun story. It's also one in a million, really. So I was over in Delaware, and I'm going to let Ray tell the evolution of the story, but I'm going to do the setup. And the setup is this. Ray managed to get on the local news during Christmas, and not just a little bit, like a huge bit. And he did it with a marketing, it wasn't so much a marketing stunt. He did it out of the goodness of his heart, but it turned into a great marketing opportunity at the same time. And it was amazing to me because I would have thought in my weird, sardonic, black California mind that this would never work. Never work. And it just was amazing. It was the news, and hundreds of people were involved. So Ray, with that kind of lead in, I'm going to serve it up to you. What did you do on Christmas?
So part of it's luck. A lot of life is luck. On Facebook, I saw an ad for a fire truck, and I'm not talking like full on fire engine, like 27 feet long, 500-gallon tank, pumps 950 gallons a minute of water, hook it up to the hydrant, and you can shoot water for 350 feet into a burning building. Big ass fire truck. And it was so cheap, and it was in Connecticut. Now I'm in Delaware. Connecticut is like, you got to drive to New Jersey and New York, Connecticut. I'm like, I don't care, man. I'm buying this. And a lot of folks around me are like, what are you going to do with a fire truck? I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's 40,000 pounds, and it's bright red. And I'm in the attention-getting business. That's all a real estate agent is in the business of, is how do I get your attention enough that you want to talk to me, and then I'm going to have an engaging conversation and turn it into real estate. Like, I can't think of a better way than 40,000 pounds of bright red attention-getting machine. So when I saw that, I'm like, that's it. We drove up. I actually hired a fireman who had a license to drive the truck to drive it back. Once I had it home, it was like a big laugh for a lot of my friends. And then this is where the luck came in. I was on one of my community Facebook pages, and there was a conversation going on, and they were saying, hey, is Santa coming around to the communities this year? And the conversation steered to, no, the local fire company has decided that it's either not in their budget or they're too short-staffed, or a combination of the two, to bring Santa around, to the community. And at that point I went, there it is. There it is. I chimed in and I said, I'll do it. There I am. I'll do it. I own a fire truck, and I need buy-in. I need you guys to tell me it's okay to drive this fire truck through the community. And I had a lot of clients in the community. I saw a lot of homes there. And then, to doing the right thing, I called the local fire company and I verified. Is it true that you're not doing Santa this year? What's the reason behind it? I don't want the neighborhood or the local town trashing you guys as a fire department around the fact that you're not doing it. I am going to take this over if you're not doing it. And also tell me why you're not doing it so I say the right thing, because I don't want you guys getting trashed. I mean, these men that put their lives at risk running into burning buildings, I didn't want them being bad mouth because they weren't putting Santa on one of their trucks. And so I talked to the chief, and he goes, Ray, we're short-staffed. I've got 15 volunteer firefighters that I can count on to show up at any given time, and I got to put 5 guys on the street. And Christmas is a big time for house fires due to everybody plugging their lights in and all this stuff. And I'm too short-staffed to give up 5 guys. And I said, if it's okay with you, I'm going to take this event over and I'm going to do it. And he goes, God bless you, basically. And so I hired a Santa Claus. I hired one of my guys to dress up as an elf. I hired somebody else to dress up as a Grinch. And instead of just driving around, with Santa Claus on the roof of the fire truck waving at everybody, we made stops at the different communities. Santa got down. We sang Christmas carols. We handed out candy canes. And my Grinch guy collected toys, because that's what the Grinch does, right? The Grinch takes toys, Santa gives them. So my Grinch was taking toys from the neighborhoods, and then we took them up to the local children's hospital, and we donated all those toys at Christmas to kids who were in the hospital who weren't going to be home for Christmas. Knowing that this was going to be something that I thought was interesting, and again, being that I thought this was cool, I called the local news channels and I said, hey, I'm doing this. Is this a story? Are you interested? And we ended up getting covered by the local ABC channel. They sent a news van down. And we were on the 11 o'clock news with this. And then the local newspaper, which is their website's Delaware Online, they did a feature article. They did a video. And so through the power of those media channels and then taking those links and putting them back out to Facebook, I mean, we ended up with like thousands and thousands of views just on social media. And I have no idea through, I mean, the newspaper and Action News, I mean, I'm sure it's, hundreds of thousands of people that saw it. But the only thing that I can track is the social media, and the social media had thousands and thousands of views, which was me doing nothing more than sharing a link, that they had already published out on their sites. And now people stop me at different places and they're like, "Yo, man, that fire truck thing was cool." And it's now become kind of an iconic thing, even just after a month and a half. The fire truck is pretty much going to become part of my logo because I'm the only real estate agent that I know of that owns a fire truck. And if I don't bring that to the forefront of what we're doing, then I think there's a missed opportunity.
That's go ahead, John.
I think it's just an amazing story of guerrilla marketing at its best. We're going to have to call it a day because I've got another appointment I've got to go to. But you have to come back on the show, Ray. It's been a fantastic conversation, and
thank you.
It gives a really good picture about what you can do with online marketing and also personal marketing and combining them together. Thank you. And please come back at a later stage of the year and we have another conversation. How does that sound, Ray?
That sounds great. And I'll send you guys the link if Robert doesn't have it to the, to the fire truck coverage of the local news channel. So that way everybody can actually see the coverage itself.
Yeah. I'll make sure it's in the show notes.
Hey, John, his email and his URL are in the chat. And if you could use that to do the show notes, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. That's fantastic. We'll be back next week, like I say, with another great guest or a great conversation between me and Robert. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Phyllis.